Is this heaven?
No, it's a podcast. Welcome to the Field of Geeks podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 179 of the Field of Geeks podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Jonah. And I'm Bill.
Full house. This is awesome. Welcome, guys. This is great.
Feels good to be back, I must say.
Feels good to be on not an actual episode, but a regular episode as opposed to just a movie review. So this is cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Jonah helped us out. Bill and him reviewed Ghostbusters, which was great. Mitch, have you caught that yet? I know there's a lot out there, and you're busy. So
I have not seen it yet. I hate to say it because I really wanted to see No Time to Die, and I have not even seen that yet.
Oh, really?
How busy I've literally been.
Well, you get to own it in a few weeks, I think. I
know, and that's been the nice thing is that all these movies that got super delayed, they were already ready with their releases. So I think that's working out to my favor. I know that Venom's coming out here shortly too.
Yeah, and they're all available digitally right now on iTunes, I believe.
So, nice.
Yeah.
There's just so many out. Like I'd have to kind of be exhausted to see all of them at once. You know, there was some that got away that like Venom I wanted to see, didn't get to it. Was it Last Night in Soho? I think I really wanted to go see that. Missed out. Edgar Wright picture, but I chose to go see the big ones: Ghostbusters, No Time to Die.
When you do see Last Night in Soho, let me know your thoughts because we did see that. I liked it quite a bit.
I love it. The style looks great.
Yeah, it was better than I was expecting. But
nice.
I didn't know that I had a lot of expectations going into it. But
sure,
I liked it.
What was in that again?
Yeah, Anna Taylor-Joy. She's on fire right now. She's great.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
She sings a great rendition of Downtown for that movie, and there's they released an up-tempo, and then what's the other? How do you say the other version? You don't say down-tempo, right? There's an up-tempo version, which is really cheery, I think, and then
I think you can say that.
Which is another, and then another version is just serious, kind of like the trailer was with the music. It's really interesting, but shit, Diana Rigg was in it. Wow, it must have been her last part. Oh, maybe they showed footage of her. Jonah could say, but what I will say from that, I don't know if you all seen the trailer to that. There's a great image of her, I think, coming out of the hotel, and you see this giant Thunderball billboard poster thing. Oh my God, it gave me chills. I'm like, that's amazing. I would love to. I just see the movie for that. That looks so cool. Just really, as a Bond fan, it's I dug it. So, but yeah, that was one that got away. Before we get into our topics, I want to tell everyone out there, we mentioned Ghostbusters. If you want to get the Ecto 1 popcorn bucket, you still can. They sold out everywhere when this movie first came out, and I tried to get one or two, and the problem was, I know the theater by me here in Johnston, they only got 30 of them, which, you'd sell out of those in the first showing. But there were people who already wanted 3 of them, So basically, we'll get into the PlayStation thing later, but people, bought the shit out of them to resell and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone has a chance now to get them. I did go on a week or so ago. I went on to AMC's site, got word that they were selling them there. I accidentally bought 4 of them because the order didn't confirm. The order, yeah. Here I am talking about these assholes who buy all these, right, and resell them. I'm one of the assholes now. So, yeah. So I asked Bill.
Scalper confirmed.
Yeah, I asked Bill if he wanted one. It's okay if you don't, Bill. I'm sure I'll get someone to buy it.
I might want one. I don't know. I'm kind of
it's not a big deal. And Jonah offered to you, bitch, whatever. But the thing is, the site was so slow when I bought it. The confirmation took forever. And so I thought it didn't go through. So the next day, I think it was the next day or hours later, I get 2 emails of confirmations. I'm like, oh no, and they're $35 each. So, shit.
I mean, Josh, to be fair, though, you didn't do that with malice intent.
Yeah.
No.
You just did it simply because the internet was slow. I mean, I've seen people do that before.
The site was terrible.
Completely different than the
Yeah.
than the PS5 and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I didn't think I'm exactly like those people. Like, I don't have a storage unit, right, of these things. But yeah, the site was so slow. There was a waiting list to get into the site. Then you get into the site, make your selection, and everything's just going really slow. And then it just kind of times out. And it's like, all right, did the order go through? Because I didn't get an email right away. So I'm like, well, let me just order it again, because what could go wrong? So it's not a bad problem. There's people out there who want them. So, if they,
Can you imagine if they did something similar for Ecto Cooler? That problem would have been magnified by like tenfold.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh,
At least.
And I did that hashtag thing. We mentioned that in the review and maybe on the show before, but yeah, if you hashtagged, I think High C, I don't know, High C drinks, whatever. And then, Ghostbusters, you have a chance of getting some. Really pissed me off. I see all these people, because, the big cities will have these events, these Ghostbuster events, and that's when they have the Ecto Cooler. Well, here in Iowa, I don't see that happening. I just don't. But maybe. I'd be surprised. Maybe Hy-Vee will, hook us up. But.
Yeah.
But damn, we'll have to make some, I guess. We'll have to go rent a lab or something and get up to some
I've got
mischief.
a recipe for it. I don't know how good it is or how accurate it is.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to try it.
Sure.
The bad thing is I don't have anything to compare it to. Like, I don't have just like a Ecto Cooler sitting around where I can taste test it and be like, oh yeah, this tastes like it.
To be fair, though, with the fact of how popular it is, and I don't think it's just something that's just because the movie's out. I think it actually has popularity flavor-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Why couldn't IC just rename it a different flavor after they're done with the marketing of Ghostbusters? And then just run with that, because I don't think it would be that far of a stretch to say, okay, we do have a popularity for this flavor. Let's bring this out as a new item and rename it.
Yeah.
Dumb question. What is the flavor? What does it taste like? I don't even remember.
It's like tangerine and something
citrusy.
else. I think it's like it's like a very citrus heavy. But
Okay.
They did the same thing with Surge. Like, there was a huge online petition for Surge to come back. And that worked, so I don't know why we can't bring back Ecto Cooler, like Mitch said, under a different name.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
Ghostberry or some...
What I would do if I would release it in a big bulk Halloween season, right? And then people get a chance to stock up and then take it off the shelves, because I think that's why they took it off in the first place. People just lost interest, right? But
Yeah, like what they do with the monster cereal, the Boo Berry.
exactly, that's what they should do. I think they'd sell a shit ton of it. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they would too.
That's what I would do. That's what they should do. But maybe they will. I'm just really shocked they didn't release it like as much as they did for the 2016 film. And because this one really brought back a lot of nostalgia for everyone. And of course, Ecto Cooler would have just been, and they released in these cool bottles too. I don't know if you've seen them, but they actually put Slimer on it. The old school Ecto Cooler that we knew as kids.
Yeah.
Last time they just had a picture of like tangerines or some shit on it. It was really low key, but it tastes good. I liked it, but hopefully we'll get some Ecto Cooler in our future here. Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. Thanks for listening to Field of Geeks podcast. I'd like to remind you to please check us out on all social media and most streaming and download platforms. fieldofgeeks.com. Back to the show.
Just last night, went to go see Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. There's a huge stigma with video game movies. They typically suck. I mean, I think there's some exceptions to that, like Sonic I thought was pretty good. This by no means was the worst video game movie I've ever seen. It's by no means the best, but they did a lot of things right with it. So I'll go through like kind of my pros and cons really quick.
Sure.
I think it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. It blows the Paul W.S. Anderson movies out of the water by comparison.
Really?
It's very, very much more video game accurate. There's a lot of set design in it that were taken directly from the video games, which is cool. There's a lot of scenes that parallel scenes from the movie. you kind of get to see like the decline of the people turning into zombies. They're not just like bitten and all of a sudden like raw. Like they're kind of like saying things like "let me in" or "help me," and it like devolves into a like slurred speech kind of thing.
Wow.
Like the more
cool.
like zombie groan kind of thing to it. So that was cool. It's also a very dark movie. It's very horror centric. So that was cool. It wasn't just a stupid action movie with Mila Jovovich, posing for the camera every 5 seconds. But I think definitely out of all the live action and animated films, I think this is the 12th film total they've done for Resident Evil, and it's probably the best one.
Hey,
Really?
Phil, how's the CGI look? Because I think that the second trailer looked better than the first. First trailer, the CGI looks kind of, I don't know, real cartoony, for lack of a better term, or very video gamey. Is it pretty good though? Have they cleaned it up?
It's very polished in the movie. There are some. So I'll use this as an example. So in the first Paul W.S. Anderson film, they had the zombie dogs.
Yeah.
And they used practical effects and like real Dobermans, and they do that in this. They have like a real Doberman. You can see him going through the changes and stuff. But when he gets fully transformed, it's CGI, but it doesn't look terrible. Like it looks like you think it would, like it would, with like decaying flesh and like foam coming out of his mouth and stuff like that. I think the CGI actually was really good in it. They did a lot of great effects with like classic monsters from the games. Like they did a practical effect for Lisa Trevor, who is one of the antagonists in the Resident Evil 1 remake. And she looked phenomenal. The liquor looked 10 times better than it did in the first Resident Evil movie. I didn't really get the sense of like cartoony animation or anything like that. I thought it was done very well.
All right, cool. I'm looking forward to checking it out, too.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, we discussed earlier about how there were so many movies that came out around the same time, and it's just like, I kind of just finally got to this. I was the only person in the theater, which this movie came out, 2-3 weeks ago, and we had so many other movies like Gucci and James Bond and Eternals and everything else coming out.
Right.
So this was like very much on the back burner, but I was excited being a fan of the franchise.
One other question I have for you, and I don't mean to keep throwing
No,
things
you're
at
fine.
Give me a little bit of context as far as just some examples of what you consider some good video game movies and some bad video game movies, because I know I've got my own ideas. Where are you at on this?
So my all-time favorite was the first Silent Hill movie.
Okay.
I thought that was spot on accurate
Great
to the
movie.
game. The worst video game movie ever made, and you'd think it would be Super Mario Brothers, but it was actually Alone in the Dark. It had
The Christian Slater one that sat on a shelf for years, and
it was Christian Slater and Tara Reid, and
Ooh.
I've never been more uncomfortable or more flaccid during a sex scene.
Wait a second. Is this Tara Reid pre-boob job or post?
This was Tara Reid in her transition phase of looking like a Barbie that wasn't quite set in the mold properly.
Okay. So there's still hope at that point.
Well, yeah, but oh my God, it was so flat. Like, it was Tara Reid,
Boobs
so
were, okay.
everything was flat.
Sorry, I went full guy moment there for a second.
I didn't pay much attention to her chest because her face just looked. You're in a scene where like you're supposed to have passion or like some expression, and she's just like, "Make love to me, baby."
How was Christian Slater's chest, though?
Christian Slater,
Wait. Are you saying that there's more passion in the movie The Room with Tommy Wiseau's sex scenes than there was in this movie?
Yes, by far. I would submit that for an Oscar before I'd even watch Alone in the Dark the second time.
Ouch.
yeah, I don't think I ever saw Alone in the Dark because it looked terrible and I never heard anything good about it. I think for me, my worst was House of the Dead. I thought that was
Oh yeah, that's definitely up there.
And I definitely think that Silent Hill is up there among some of the better of them. So, all right, we're on the same page. Cool.
Yes. So the thing that the director wanted to do with this movie was bring back a lot of that survival horror, like sense of, just you're absolutely screwed. And there's a lot of scenes in this movie where it's just absolutely dark. Like there's one scene where Chris Redfield he's in the mansion and everything's dark and he's surrounded by zombies and he's just like kind of blindly firing. And you don't see if he's actually hitting anything until he pulls out his lighter, and then there's like one guy like right in front of him. It's kind of like, bah! So that part was really cool. The RPD and the Spencer Mansion looked phenomenal. Like they were pulled right out of the game.
Really?
So I had zero complaints about that. I think that as far as the acting went in it, I love the fact that they included Donald Logue and Neil McDonough. They're two of my favorite actors. I just love the things that they do. Donald Logue kind of reminded me of Harvey Bullock from the Gotham series, but he plays the police chief. In this.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor. Yeah.
It's not really far removed, but he didn't really have much to do. The thing with this movie, it's less than 2 hours long, which is rare for a movie nowadays. And basically they took the plot of the first two Resident Evil games and kind of like made them have a weird like incest baby. So it wasn't that wasn't bad. It's a retelling of the story. It's not meant to be frame for frame accurate from the game. So it was good. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. Would I say it's like something you would need to see like opening weekend at the theater? Probably not. The cast is really interchangeable. Like there was nobody in the cast that was just like, oh my God, they're in a perfect role. Like there was really nothing that jumped out at me like, oh, this is awesome. Aside from, the callbacks to the game.
And this is a reboot, right? It doesn't follow any of the previous movies or anything like that.
Yeah, it is a total reboot. And Paul W. Sanderson is an executive producer on this film, but you definitely don't feel his touch on this film, which is phenomenal. I think that's great. That's a much better direction to go.
Yeah, that's usually the thing.
And I think as far as like comparing this to the video game, it's much more accurate than any of the other films that he did, which are worth one watch, but that's about it.
That's a question for me, though. The first Resident Evil movie, would you say that was close to the video game before it got really crazy?
Okay, so I went into it without knowing, I guess, where it was placed within the video game, as far as the video game was concerned.
Right.
It deviated from the source material greatly.
Oh, it did? Okay. So it was doomed from the start, pretty much, if you were like a huge fan of the game. Yeah,
I mean, it was one of those things, kind of like the 90 whatever Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah,
it was good. Like you saw things in it, they're like, oh yeah, I recognize that, but it wasn't like
also a Paul W. S. Anderson movie, as an aside.
Yes.
Really?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I can't say that I don't like everything that he's done, because he's done some things that I've enjoyed. But I was not a big fan of his Resident Evil movies.
Well, he did do Highlander, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Well, so he did one of my favorite horror movies of all time, which is Event Horizon.
Oh, man, that's intense.
And he did, and Pandora, Pandorum wasn't bad. Alien versus Predator, the first one had its issues, but it wasn't a terrible movie, I didn't think. Mm-hmm. So, again, he's capable.
Right.
He is capable, but I think he has to be given the right source material to work from. Right. And there's all sorts of critics that, even with this movie, said, like, Resident Evil's not a game that you can adapt into a movie. And I think with this, they kind of negated that thought process. It's definitely close. It's very close. Mm-hmm. Like, keep going with it and make it better in the next one, which they set it up for a sequel at the end.
Well, of course they would, yeah.
But the acting is a lot more CW than it is Hollywood.
Okay.
In this movie, so it's not great. But for a runtime so short, and when you have all this backstory that didn't get fleshed out in it, like everything is just kind of rushed. And by the third act, I was like, wait, there's like 15 minutes left of this. What are they going to do now? But it was good. I mean, I would say probably a solid like 3 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
It's not the worst film ever made, but it's not. I wasn't blown away leaving the theater by any means.
Sure.
But it is a good direction for the franchise to go if they decide to expand on this. And I really hope that if they do expand on this, they don't make it into like 7 movies of bullshit.
With one character being the lead and kicking ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing like, one character is like a superhero and saved everybody.
Right.
Which I loved about this. Everybody was like constantly like sense of getting killed, and you actually cared when people died in this movie.
Right. Yeah, they're all fucked, basically.
Yeah, they weren't. They used characters from the game, which I love. They weren't just like random side characters they put in body armor and said, "Oh, you need to care about this person when they die in 5 seconds." So that was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's definitely one I'd probably purchase and own.
Sure,
but it's not by any means. It's not my favorite. But then again, Resident Evil has not had great luck when it comes to films.
Has their games been consistent?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, I really hope they never adapt Resident Evil 6 because that's just the worst.
Yeah, is that the last, or is that one of the?
Oh no, that was before they did Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 6 became like more of a Metal Gear Solid like action heavy game.
Yeah.
And with Resident Evil 7, they went fully back to that survival horror like danger around every turn kind of thing that you got from the first 3 games, I would say.
Right.
The thing to keep in mind with this is that although it does go fast, you've got to keep in mind that the first 3 games in the series all take place within 24 hours.
Wow.
So that's a lot to cover, and they are on a clock, like on a deadline in this movie. But
sure,
I think with that in mind, they could have fleshed it out a little bit more. It definitely could have used like a 2.5 hour run, like an extra half an hour would have been great.
Right. Maybe there'll be a director's cut.
Flesh out some stuff. Yeah. But I didn't get the sense of like studio involvement or putting too many characters in or anything like that. Like, I thought it was good. So it's worth a watch if you're a Resident Evil fan. By far, it's probably the best one that's out there, but that's not saying a whole lot.
Well, great. Yeah. Thanks for reviewing that for us.
I know that a lot of people have already seen stuff. I mean, it's probably America's worst kept secret, but word is that we're going to get to see all 3 Spider-Man. I think the Brazil cut of the trailer kind of spoiled that for everybody. But then again, who knows? It's kind of a given. And I think who was it? That guy that's on the English program does his talk show that all the celebrities go to was saying
Graham
that.
Norton?
Yeah, Graham Norton kind of spilled the beans on it. But who knows? I mean, those cheeky Englishmen, they like to let things fly a little bit. So we'll see if that's true.
Hats off to him.
I kind of think that's, yeah. I mean, you're going to bring back Doc Ock, Green Goblin, then Electro, and Reptile, or what is it?
Lizard.
Is it Reptile?
A lizard.
Yeah. Lizard, yep. And then there's that the mysterious 6th option that nobody knows of, but some people think it's Venom, some people think it's somebody else, who knows, that's going to be in there. So we'll see how that all fleshes out. But yeah, I mean, that's as far as I want to go with it, because I know that it's coming out on Friday, and with that, I wonder how they're going to keep it a secret, and I think I would like to think that the internet community would be at least nice enough to keep that a secret, or at least let people see it a week before they start spilling the beans.
Yeah, that's the problem. You got to get right on it.
I've just been sick with all the theories and stuff like that. Like, I just skip over those. I'm sick of hearing like, oh, this person could be in it. Like, Venom could save the day. Blah blah blah. Like, I don't need to hear all that shit. It's just, let us enjoy the movie. I think people are hyping it up way too much, and it's going to disappoint them. That's what I'm scared of.
Sadly, that's with theories these days, especially with the Marvel shows. The theories end up being much greater than what we actually get, and it's really our fault for like, oh yeah, it's going to happen this way. And no, it's not. I think for sure you're going to have all the Spider-Men in there. I know Andrew Garfield's been interviewed many times and he's denied he's in it, but they can totally lie. You have to anyway these days to throw people off because, there's all these leaks here and there, and it would be a wasted opportunity. But, like we were talking before we started recording, I believe if they're in it for a lot more time than we think, I would love like a diner scene, them sitting down, just talking, kind of like what we got from the Into the Spider-Verse film. In a way, that would be kind of cool. I don't know if they would do that, but just have a little more interaction, and maybe they could help Peter, Tom Holland's Peter navigate his issues, if you will. It feels like a movie that should be like 4 hours long. It just feels like there's so much in it, and it gives me the fear of Spider-Man 3 happening again.
I think at this point, Marvel's and with Marvel's success of having, I don't think we're going to have that issue.
No, I don't think so.
With feeling like we're being thrown too many people in a movie. Marvel's finally got their grasp on that, and Avengers was a good tell on that. And with the fact that it's going to be 2 hours and 30 minutes, I mean, it's the longest Spider-Man. And on top of that, they said that he signed on for another 3 movies or something like that, 2 movies. I kind of feel like almost that this might be a 3-part series. Like we'll get the first part, but it's not done yet. Because I feel like this is the first iteration of Marvel's next game plan, which is supposedly supposed to be even bigger than Endgame. Wow. I mean, we're going to be crossing the multiverse. So at this point, you're talking now the introduction of the Fantastic Four, X-Men. We haven't even begun to see what the full multiverse looks like yet. It'd be great. It'd be great to see Tom Holland in an X-Men movie, because I know that X-Men and Spider-Man cross paths multiple times. And that, if we finally get a decent Wolverine, not to say that Hugh Jackman was bad, a new Wolverine that's decent, like the one that we had, there's a lot left in the tank, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd mentioned this the last time we talked with Bill and Josh is, one of the nice things about having this many villains, because that's always a concern where you get into that Spider-Man 3 territory, is they're already established from the previous movies they've been featured in, so we don't have to reestablish origin stories or anything like that. And so it's going to be just go right into the action, since we already know who these characters are.
True.
And I'd also be really interested to see if, aside from bringing in Garfield and Maguire, if they do introduce us to any other Spider-Man, like Miles Morales or
that's the big talk too. Is he going to be introduced? Because that would be another part of the universe. And the only thing that I do have a question on is, here we are talking about all the Spider-Mans and all these iterations have all died at the other hands of Spider-Man. Sandman never died; he was let go.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's kind of been some contention with the theories and stuff like that. Like Electro, I think he got more of like a redemption in his own timeline or whatever. And he's like, he doesn't want to go back to being like the villain or getting killed because he's going after Spider-Man. But I think another thing we have to keep in mind, though, is that we also have the Doctor Strange movie coming up. We have the Ant-Man movie coming up. I think this movie is going to end with a segue into those movies, and then we're going to circle back to an actual Spider-Man movie where it gets resolved before they go into their big conflict with the next Thanos. Yeah. Or it's going to lead into a conflict with like Kang, and he's going to be the one orchestrating all the multiverse crap going on.
Well, I don't think it's good. I think Kang's a small part. I think Mephisto is going to be the big guy.
Oh yeah,
they keep talking that. Yeah, they thought for sure. WandaVision was going to introduce him.
He's too big of a guy to just introduce in the first iteration of these Disney shorts.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and they've put so many series on the slate, with Disney Plus Day or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They put so many different series out there. There's like an Agatha Harkness series coming out.
Mm-hmm.
We've got She-Hulk. We've got Ecto. We've got all kinds of stuff coming out. So I think it's like one of those things, like everything's going to be interconnected at some point, but it's probably going to take us like 6 series and 5 movies to get there.
If the big bad is Mephisto, it's a shame they're not going to be able to bring Peter Fonda back as Mephisto.
Oh, I know.
I actually liked him as that character.
I did too. I really did. And I like the fact that they didn't make him the 60-foot devil character. He was just like a regular guy, and he kind of like creeped you out.
Oh, and Ghost Rider you're talking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they recast him in the second Ghost Rider, which was kind of like a light reboot. Yeah, who the hell would you get for that part? That would be Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons would be perfect for it, I think.
Yeah.
He's still acting too, so I mean.
Oh yeah, I mean he was doing the Snyder films, so and he's done some other. He's in the House of Gucci actually. That's his current one. Yeah, that'd be something, wouldn't it? Jeez. Yeah, but like what Jonah was saying is what's nice about. Well, we were talking about, these other Spider-Man villains have already been introduced, so there's not really much we have to catch up on. We can go right into the action, and that's also for these Disney Plus shows, right? So She-Hulk can enter anytime, and we already know her story, so we don't really have to feel like we were robbed of any explanation. It's like she just shows up, or, whoever else they have coming down the pipeline, like Kate Bishop, from Hawkeye and so on.
Yeah, I don't like Kate Bishop. We'll get into that in another episode.
Come you're not a fan of Kate Bishop?
She annoys the fuck out of me.
The actress or the character?
Well, not the actor. No, the actress is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. The character is like, if you would just shut the fuck up and listen to Hawkeye for a second, he would have this resolved in 5 minutes.
But in essence, is that not the way that she is portrayed in the... I mean, I would say that the actress portraying her is doing a great job. I mean, she's definitely annoying.
No, I agree with that. I get the sense of Kamala Khan from her, like from the Avengers games, where she's like a huge, like, fangirl. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, oh my god, Hawkeye, like, shut the fuck up for a minute. Like, just let him do his job. He's Hawkeye. He's been doing this for years. But, no, I mean, I think, like, as far as Spider-Man goes, like Michael Keaton has said he's coming back as Vulture. Whether that's going to be, that's not going to be in No Way Home, obviously, because it's way too late to put in. Mm-hmm. But I think with I can kind of see like a collaboration between Sony and Marvel. He's supposedly in Morbius, so maybe we'll see him.
Yes, yeah.
Cross over that way. I don't know, but.
I have high hopes for Morbius. I hope it's good. I really do. I feel like it could be something cool.
I'm excited to see it because it reminds me of just the trailer from it reminds me of the first Blade movie, where it was like a superhero, but it's a horror centric kind of thing.
Right.
I didn't feel like Blade was a horror movie though.
Well, yeah, I know, but
that first scene though, I felt like
those horror movie elements to it.
Yeah.
I think Morbius is a really complex character in the comics, so I'd love to see that. But I think that there's going to be so many. You're going to need like a flow chart in Microsoft Excel to figure out how all this shit's connected. There's going to be so many things to analyze and all that. And I think that honestly, as far as No Way Home is concerned, I think people are reading way too much into it. Just let it go, let it play out, see what happens, and then talk about it.
If the 3 Spider-Men aren't in it, though, I think it'll be a major letdown. I think that ship has sailed.
No, I think that would be a huge letdown. But at the same time, like they have the international trailers, where they show the invisible hand punching lizard. Like that's even been cut out of the theatrical trailers. Like they had a trailer for. No Way Home when I went to go see Resident Evil, and it's like they cut off like right as he's about to get hit. So I don't know. I think that's I think it would be a huge disservice to everybody if they weren't in it.
Yeah, I think as long as they're in it, everything else that doesn't work out for, people's theories, it'll be, fine. But I think that's like the major thing that people want, and it's an opportunity, and they did talk after Into the Spider-Verse came out doing a live action version. So I think this is as close as we can get realistically without making it a shot for shot, live action version of Into the Spider-Verse. So, yeah, I hope we get that. That would be very, very exciting. And that actually just released another trailer too, Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
So that was very interesting.
So I can talk about that if you want to
kind
of move into that territory here. So, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel has just released a trailer. Not too long ago here. It's called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Nice.
So how many parts of that we're going to get, I don't know.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if it was just Part 1 and that was it? Like they ran out of money and that was it?
Like History of the World Part 1, and then it takes 30 years later to make it 2.
Right.
That would be pretty funny.
It'd be like naming your first album Greatest Hits.
Greatest Hits Part 1. It's like you never make another album after that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's looking at a October 7th, 2022 release. It's going to be theater exclusive, so that's good. I mean, I doubt they would be able to put that on Disney Plus with all the licensing and stuff that. But it's supposed to pick up right after the first movie ended. So that looks good. There's a little bit of... The trailer shows a little bit of interaction between Miles and Gwen, and then you see some shots of Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099 in there. So
nice.
Animation-wise, it looks pretty consistent. Like they show them kind of going through different universes, and there's one universe where it looks just like straight off the comic, and one where it looks CGI, and one where it looks the same as the previous movie. So I think it's going to be cool. I mean, I really enjoyed that's probably one of my favorite Spider-Man movies of all time.
Yeah, that seemed to come out of nowhere. It was huge. Yeah. It was a fun ride.
The Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales.
Oh,
yeah. That one, I'm surprised it did so well. Miles Morales is more of a fanboy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it like in a negative way.
Mm. Oh, no.
Just,
he totally is.
If you ask a normal guy, like, who's Spider-Man? Oh, Peter Parker. Yeah. They wouldn't go, oh, Miles Morales.
Yeah.
So well, I was glad to see that.
Yeah.
And they did that a lot with, like, the Ultimate Comic series, too. Like, after Peter Parker got killed died in his last fight with Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Miles Morales kind of took over, and he originally wore the original suit, and people were like, yeah, that's in really bad taste. So he like kind of changed it up and made it his own thing, and he eventually made it over to the 616 universe. So I think that would be cool to like expand on that character. I would love to see him in the MCU. He's pretty wonderful character. And
well, to be honest with you though, if not now, when? Because now would be the perfect time to introduce him.
Mm-hmm.
I could honestly see. So they've kind of said on just different news sources on the internet that Tom Holland is going to be the new Tony Stark, right?
But
I could see like him, them getting to an epic battle, and him doing the same thing that Tony did and being like, making the big sacrifice play, laying on the wire, so to speak.
Yeah. And
then Miles Morales taking over, but at the same time, like that's probably years down the road. I wouldn't expect to see Miles Morales in the MCU until like 2025, 2026, right around there.
Right.
I just think that there's way too much of that character to just throw him in and be like, hey, I'm the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
I mean, you still got college years you could explore Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Well, so.
And not only that, but like in Homecoming, they introduced Aaron Davis, who's the Prowler, and his nephew is Miles Morales. So he's in the universe already.
Right.
It's just when are they going to introduce him? And I think if they do it the right way, it could really work out well.
Sure.
And you mentioned Spider-Man 2099, which is my favorite Spider-Man costume of all time. And
Absolutely.
I would love
that
someday to see
costume.
a live action of that.
I love that costume. For me, that's like the Batman Beyond of the Spider-Man universe. Like I just love that. I love that character.
Yeah, it really is.
That was of the back in the 90s when they did the whole 2099 series of like everybody. That was the only one that I actually liked, and he's the only one that like really stuck around. I think he's actually part of the main Marvel universe now. If I'm not mistaken.
All the other ones were forgotten about. Hulk 2099 was a Pitt ripoff, which was weird because Pitt was a Hulk ripoff.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider was short-lived. Doctor Doom.
I feel like they did Doctor Doom dirty, though. Like, he's so much more powerful than what they let him on to be in the movies.
I really hope when we get to a Fantastic Four that they do Doctor Doom right.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I appreciated about the remake one they did, which was a lot more darker.
Yeah.
I actually feared Doom. He was like relentless. He killed people. Like, I mean, the other one did too, but this one was like very brutal. Like, he was scary. He was very scary. I didn't care for his look or anything, but they were getting something right with his behavior, I think.
Well, and they have to at least establish Latveria.
Yes.
As a sovereign nation, kind of like they did with Wakanda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, they have to build that up in the MCU before they introduce Doctor Doom, because he's just like, he's one of those very complex villains who's like, he's a lot like Magneto. He doesn't think that he's doing anything wrong, and he thinks he's doing it for the betterment of his people.
Right.
And
She never got in the other films.
Right. They were always just like, oh, I hate Reed Richards. I'm going to beat him up.
Took my girl.
He took my girl, man. You don't do that to the guy who's been on Charmed for 5 seasons.
His costume, though, wasn't it pretty close, though, to the iconic Doom costume?
It was close, but like,
yeah,
Doctor Doom didn't like get powers on the from space and turn into a metal guy.
Yeah,
he was like a super vain, like dictator, and he wanted to protect his face, so he made a metal mask. And he was in such a rush to put it on that he didn't wait for it to cool, and that's how his face got all disfigured. So he's like Man in the Iron Mask, as a supervillain. But he's also like, he's one of my favorite villains.
I can't wait.
He's crossed over. He's one of my favorite villains because he's crossed over with like everybody. He's fought Spider-Man, he's fought the Avengers, he's fought Fantastic Four. He's even fought the X-Men, I think, at some point. But
yeah.
They really need to do that character right if they're going to bring him in.
Yeah,
well, I think it was the miniseries X-Men versus the Fantastic Four, where the X-Men went to Doctor Doom to help save Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like he's not somebody that looks for a fight. He doesn't just show up in downtown New York and start blowing shit up.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
He's just kind of there, and then like. When, Captain America gets on his 1940s high horse, he's like, no, Doom, you can't do that. That's against American values. That's when they get into a conflict, but I mean, it's probably more complex than that in the Fantastic Four series, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think he'd make a great villain. He'd be like he kind of reminds me of Baron Zemo a little bit. Like he's just kind of like, he's kind of in the background. He's not really like looking for a fight, but he'll definitely give you one if you pursue him.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Well, and in that regard, they did Baron von Zemo pretty well, and I thought
they did.
Hawkeye. Great job with him.
It was Falcon Winter Soldier, right? They expanded on him more. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Like every complaint about Civil War, they pretty much made up for. Like he definitely had more character development, and he wore the mask for at least one scene. That was cool. I think the actor actually pushed to don that mask, if I'm not mistaken. But that does remind me real quick, who is watching Hawkeye so far? And if so, are you digging it?
I've watched all 3 episodes. I am liking it because I love Hawkeye and I love Jeremy Renner portraying Hawkeye.
Right.
I absolutely love that. I don't have a complaint with any of the casting. I think the casting is spot on. I'm loving the story. I'm just not a big fan of Kate Bishop, but I'm hoping that she gets some character development. There's only 3 more episodes left.
That's crazy.
So,
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that because it seems like they have like so many plot holes to cover.
Well, they dumped 2 episodes to start with.
It does seem like there's a lot they need to pick up on because I'm not saying it's been a slow burn, but they haven't really done much as far as developing the conflict, I guess.
Yeah.
We got the introduction to Kate Bishop, which was amusing. We got Jeremy Renner being the family man that he is. We got almost a whole episode dedicated to Ecto, which I actually really enjoyed. So yeah, they're really going to have to step on the gas to make a story out of this. So.
Right.
I have a feeling like the end of episode 4 is just going to flip everything on its head and it's going to just kind of take off from there. Like the next, we're going to be anticipating 5 and 6.
Yeah. So far, the series, I've really enjoyed it so far. I actually got caught up in this morning. I started it last night.
Oh, nice.
Finished it this morning. So it's kind of like, fresh in my head. One is I am a big Jeremy Renner fan. I think he's a good actor, and I really like he's made me like Hawkeye because as a kid growing up, I was never a Hawkeye fan. And even in the Avengers movies, he was just kind of there. He didn't really do a whole lot. He did have one part that I really liked in Avengers 2 when he was talking to, I think it was Scarlet Witch, and he was like, I'm just a guy with a bow and arrow. That's like,
the city's falling. There's a bunch of robots. I'm a guy with a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
Right. And so I really
love that
aspect of what he brought to the character.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of that here too. What was I going to say? The other thing too that I really liked with that, and not to get like spoilery, but you do have like the action sequence in this 3rd episode, I think it was, with kind of the chase scene. And I loved how that was filmed from inside the car.
Oh, that was good.
Yes.
I really liked how that was shot. It was unique, and I really dug that.
Really put you in it.
Action, the way that
the Pym arrow, like that maybe was like I laughed my ass off. I was like, fuck yeah.
Because she shoots it up to the sky, and it's like, what's going on here?
Makes this giant arrow just crush the freaking convoy. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun ride so far, but I can't. Yeah, I just realized that when you said that, there's only 3 more episodes. It's like, hurry up.
It's a fun ride. I love the Jeremy Renner Hawkeye character.
Yeah,
I absolutely adore his character. Kate Bishop takes me out of it a little bit because it's just like, if you stopped and thought about what you're about to do just for like 5 seconds, you'd realize it's a bad fucking idea.
Right.
And that would resolve but that would, in the same token though, that would resolve like 90% of the conflicts in the series.
Well, one of the things that's funny about that character is how Hawkeye gets as annoyed with her as we all are.
Yeah, exactly. Hawkeye's kind of like speaking for us in the series. Like, I just want to go home to my family. I want to watch Christmas movies, wear sweaters.
Yeah.
Like, you're making this so much more difficult than it needs to be. And I think he's kind of expecting, I think in a way, like in a kind of backhanded way, he's expecting Kate to be like Natasha, because they teamed up a lot and did a lot of work together. And he's like, Natasha was a professional and Kate's all about showmanship, like telling him, that I did like that. She like made a drawing of his classic costume and was like, you need to work on branding. Like, you're just a guy in a black suit. Like, you need to put some flair into it. He's like, why would I ever wear that ridiculous thing?
My wife would divorce me, he said.
That was kind of cool.
Even though I was like, the helmet thing is kind of cool, but yeah, I get it. I mean, really, they could put it in there for like protection, but as how long he's been in these films, it's at this point, it's like, why wear a helmet? Like, there's no point. You dodged the bullet, except your ear. You didn't dodge it there, but which I was shocked how deaf he is. Really, I mean, it's pretty bad that ear.
It makes sense though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a super soldier. He's not wearing a suit of armor. He's not a demigod. like doing all the things he's done. Like it'd be like a combat veteran, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
20 years down the line, they'd probably be losing their hearing, and
I like how
a little rougher
it's so
than they
funny.
used to.
It's so funny how they introduced that whole hearing problem, though, with like all the explosions.
Yes.
I was laughing throughout that entire thing.
how'd you lose it? Like, it's a long story.
You know, one thing that I've noticed with it, and I tried to do this with episode 3, especially with all the like, you know, like the faded out audio and stuff like that. So on Disney Plus, they have a thing on there that they have closed captioning available on it. You cannot turn on closed captioning for this series.
No shit. Wow.
And I think that's supposed to
That's
like immerse you
hilarious.
more into it.
Wow, that's
I find very
pretty cool.
because
Yeah.
honestly, like not being able to hear everything that's going on, it kind of puts you in Hawkeye's shoes,
yeah.
where he's just kind of like, you know, somebody's having a conversation with him, like, yeah, we should totally walk the dog, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a choice, or do you think that was just like an error or something like that?
I think that was okay. So I think if it was intentional, that's super cool, or it could just be the restrictions of my smart TV. But I mean, I can turn on the actual TV's closed captions, like that's not disabled. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool. I love how these series they introduce like the absolute like bottom barrel D-list characters and make them seem cool. Like the Tracksuit Mafia sucks in the comics.
I didn't know they were in the comics.
So they're just there. They get their asses kicked and they disappear for a while. And so it's kind of cool. Like, and of course they're all, you know, Russians who think like calling people bro every 5 seconds is cool. They're just like, they don't know any better. They just think they're being, you know, trendy and hip, and it's kind of funny to watch that.
Oh, that's cool. I admire that because I'm not familiar with the comics too much. So like, you know, I didn't know if it was completely made up or not. Were they more Hawkeye villains or Ronin villains in the comics?
They're street level villains.
Okay.
Which I love about this series because we need more street level stuff.
Daredevil.
You know, we need to get into like Daredevil. We need to get into Spider-Man. We need to get into Moon Knight.
Yes, which is coming. Yep.
Street level.
That looks fun.
So it's cool to see those type of guys, you know, and just see how seriously they take everything where everyone else just kind of writes them off.
Right.
Swordsman,
right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that part's really cool for me. I also like the fact that he's kind of having to go back and deal with, you know, all the people that he pissed off when he was Ronin.
Right.
He just didn't give a shit and was killing everybody.
Yep.
Like, I'd love to see them segue this into, like, The Hand or one of those other, like, more mainstream kind of crime syndicates. You know, like I forget the actor's name that he's fighting in Endgame. Like when he's going through and like fighting this like kind of Yakuza looking thing.
He was the dude in Mortal Kombat. Yes, I forgot his name. Yes.
I would love that to segue into The Hand. Right. And then have them come out and then like you can bring in Daredevil. You know, like maybe not necessarily The Hand from the Netflix series, but make it kind of Kevin Feige it up and you know, introduce it into the thing. I mean, that could work for Wolverine too. I mean, Wolverine's fought The Hand.
That flashback of who's the deaf girl again? Echo.
Yeah.
So Echo's flashback when her uncle, I believe, gets killed by Ronin and Ronin jumps out the window. Is that when Endgame takes over for us? Because isn't that guy running and he goes out the window? I didn't
think so.
Okay, I know it's like really yeah.
The Tracksuit Mafia is kind of like the Russian mob, kind of like the Russian mob.
I just didn't know if that was a direct connection.
So I didn't think that really connected to it, but yeah.
I wonder if there's going to be a connection made to, because in the comic books, Echo is actually the first one to wear the Ronin costume. And so I wonder if she's going to end up with it at the end of this.
I think you're right.
Echo is also, in the comic books, the adoptive daughter of the Kingpin.
Yes.
And
that's right.
I wonder if the big boss that they've referred to but haven't specifically named, it ties into that at all.
Those big meat hands, that's got to be Kingpin, I think. A lot of people think that.
I would love that.
Dude,
And
I think you're onto something. We just called it here. Field of
that's what the
Geeks.
series- that will be so great if that's where the series ends up going.
Yeah, I think you're right. We cracked it. We'll see what
I would love
happens.
that. That'd
I
be
could
awesome.
see that happening because, yeah, Ronan's probably a character people still want to see because they just barely, scratched the surface with him with Endgame because, we weren't there for 5 years seeing all of his battles and stuff. But now you get this character to exist, outside of Hawkeye. Because Hawkeye's kind of like winding down, basically, it seems. And I think Renner did kind of say this was his swan song. Maybe not officially, but Kate Bishop's probably the new version and the new Avenger, if you will. Kind of like how we have a new Black Widow, which may show up. Hawkeye still. It's going to be really probably short, but,
Yeah.
you have that.
I think we're moving towards a kind of like a West Coast Avengers or like a new Avengers kind of thing.
Yep.
But I would love to see Elena show up in this series. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would love to see her like at the very end, like her just show up at the farm or something like that and be like, we need to talk. And then it just
Shit.
cuts off from there. Like that'd be kind of cool, but
Like,
I don't know.
yeah.
Wish in one hand, shit in the other.
I know they got a lot to tackle in 3 more episodes. That's crazy. A lot more to tackle. Maybe they'll be longer episodes because I think they do kind of do that sometimes. Some episodes will get a little longer towards the end. So maybe we'll get that. I'm not sure.
Are any of you guys familiar with HasLab?
I'm not.
Oh,
So HasLab is basically Hasbro's crowdfunding projects. So toys that they want to make that you'll not find on store shelves. As an example, a few years back, they did Jabba the Hutt sail barge, and it was massive.
Oh, shit.
And I wasn't even into Star Wars toys at the time, so I missed out on it entirely. But it was big. But they've done things. They redid Hero Quest as a crowdfunding. There's been some, they did Unicron recently, who was massive. More recently, they did a Star Saber, which was like a Japanese Transformer figure, and I went in on that. And then I went in on one of their current ones is a new version of the G.I. Joe Skystriker.
Ooh.
And this is sort of them reintroducing O-rings, so kind of the 82 to 94 style G.I. Joes back.
Shit.
It's, to go in on this, it's like $230. So it's not cheap by any means. But it is a new, and it looks very cool. There's a lot of cool accessories. And then there's things that can unlock as more people, as it makes more money, essentially. There's different things that'll unlock, like additional characters or accessories, that sort of thing. I'm a little concerned with the Skystriker one because it ends in just over like 2 days, and the target's 10,000 backers, and it's sitting right around 6,900 right now. So we'll see if there's a kind of a pickup here over the next couple of days. But yeah, I mean, if anyone's interested in a new version of the Skystriker, or supporting that type of a project, it's out there. And they've also got a Rancor from Star Wars, from the Black Series, so kind of the bigger scale series of Star Wars figures. There's a Rancor that's funding as well, and that ends in just over a day. That one is way behind. I don't know that one's going to make it. It's got 5,400 backers right now, and the target for that's like 9,000. So we'll see what happens there, and that'll be like one of 2 projects that does not end up successfully funded. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Are they trying to do that as like a Build-A-Figure kind of thing, or is it just going to be one massive figure in the Black Series?
Yeah, it's going to be one massive, basically, I can't think of what scale that is. Was it one? It's not 112, whatever scale.
1/6 or something like that.
It's going to be basically that scale. It's not a Build-A-Figure. And there's additional figures that come with it. I think there's a Luke, a Salacious Crumb, a Rancor Keeper they announced. So there's additional things that they're trying to incite people with. I think with the Rancor, I don't know if it's like the paint job or what, but something about it's just not appealing to those Star Wars collectors. And then as far as the G.I. Joe collectors, it's always been sort of, told that they're notoriously cheap as far as a collector go. But then you see what some of the prices are going for on some of these vintage G.I. Joe figures right now, and the prices are out of control. And so I think the big issue with the Skystriker and why I'm a little concerned about that one not getting funded is they've done the Skystriker so many times. I don't think that they've done a good job of showcasing how much different this is than the original, because from what I have seen, it looks like it's quite a bit different. It looks like it's a little bit larger. They made the landing gear and the wing sweep independent of one another. But I think people are kind of Skystrikered out, and they would have rather had something new that we've not seen before. So I'm a little nervous about that.
Right. So, like, how does that work if you invest, right? Because I've never done anything like that before. Do you get, like, if it gets funded, do you get one? Or do you...
Yeah.
Okay. Figured.
As an example, last fall, they did and it's coincidentally, the crowdfunding ended like a day before the episode released. But last fall, they did the Razor Crest from The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
And I went in on that. And this thing is huge. And we're supposed to get it fall of this year. I think now it's pushed back to like January, February, just because of everything. And so should be getting it here in a couple of months. But it was funny too because, like I said, the crowdfunding on that ended, and then like the very next day they blew the shit out of it on the TV series. But that was one that I went in on, and so I should be getting that here hopefully in a couple of months. So yeah, what happens is you go in on it, and then when the deadline ends. So as an example, on the Skystriker, it ends, like I said, in a couple of days. About almost 3 days. That's when they charge you for it. So you'll pay that $230 at that time, and then a year from now you get your Skystriker basically, and whatever extras were unlocked.
Oh, cool.
So, and if it doesn't fund, then I'm not charged, and I'm not out anything.
Okay, good. That was my other question. So where's the money go? Yeah, good.
So, but it's a way that, it's an interesting concept, and it's almost like Kickstarter's that way, where, they can try and get some of these bigger items that you're not going to find in stores otherwise.
Yep.
And so it's a way to get some of those. So I haven't gone in on a lot of them, but this is one that I'm excited about. And if anyone else is out there is looking to get in on, now's the time to do it.
Nice. I'll put the link in the show notes. That's awesome. That's really cool. And really cool. I look forward to Toys for All the Ages video on that. Hopefully you'll do one.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do especially when we get the Razor Crest in, we're gonna do an unboxing and do a video on that.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
I wanted to talk real quick about Renfield. This is a big blockbuster film that's going to, one of the stars is going to be the one and only Nicolas Cage, and he's going to be playing Dracula. So I was shocked by this news. I'm happy for him. I think he's done a lot of low budget films, but from what I've heard, I haven't seen him. Pig just came out. That's on Hulu, and that's supposed to be really good. And I think he did one called Mandy. That's supposed to be really good as well. So he does have minor hits in these direct to video, however you want to say them. They're not all schlock, He actually has done some good stuff. It's just, it's not in the mainstream. So this will put him back in it, hopefully. Nicholas Hoult will also be in this film. He's from X-Men. He's done a lot of other great movies as well. He'll be playing Renfield, I believe. And Renfield was a character introduced in the 1897 novel Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. And he is an asylum patient. He drinks blood and he wants immortality and he worships Dracula. So he's pretty much his henchman, if you will. And this will be directed by Chris McKay, the Lego movie fame, or the Lego Batman movie, I should say.
Nice.
The Walking Dead's Robert Kirkman is producing, and it'll be released through Universal Pictures. So very early stages, but I'm excited. I really am. They are, Universal is kind of revamping in the right way, a right direction, if you will, their characters. We got the Invisible Man. It was a soft reboot. It wasn't a huge, The Mummy, you could say, like, oh, we're going to launch the Dark Universe and all this stuff. And then none of it happened because The Mummy just fell flat, basically. So anyway, they're doing the right thing here, I think. And I do like the idea of Dracula kind of being a side character.
I think that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah. I'm glad that Nicolas Cage is still finding work.
Yeah. Well, he had tax issues, so I think that's what kind of got him doing these, direct-to-video films. But yeah, he's done some good ones. And yeah, I need to see this this one called Pig. It's supposed to be really good, actually. So that's on Hulu. I think he's a good actor. Yeah, he gets a little weird and stuff, but I mean, I think that's what we love about him, kind of. So, but I'm really excited. This is good for him.
Yeah, the last Cage movie I saw was Willy's Wonderland, which I actually really liked.
That might be one of them that he did really good on.
Movie. That was really good.
And and what's weird about it is he does not say a word in the entire movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. I don't know that he has a single line of dialogue.
Wow.
But yeah, I actually liked that movie a lot better than I was expecting.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, good on him, because he was a force to be reckoned with for a while there, and this is good for him, I think. And it seems pretty solid film. I think it'd be pretty cool if they pull it off, which I'm sure they will.
Lawmakers are now proposing a new bill intended to curb scalping of high-demand goods. It's not only for the PS5 purposes, but for other things. As we know, the Christmas season is vastly approaching. What they're proposing is called the Stopping Grinch Bot Act. It's named after the titular festive Dr. Seuss antagonist and aims to stop scalpers from using bots to quickly purchase items that are in demand to be sold for higher prices. And guys, as you all know, Sony announced that they were reducing output of the PS5, which has in turn drove up demand tenfold, I would want to say. And not only that, but there's two different versions of PS5 that I've been made aware of. There's a hard drive only, where there's no actual CD-ROM or Blu-ray player in it, and then there's the Blu-ray player CD-ROM conversion for watching DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. So my main thing has always been the frustration with the fact that businesses will allow these devices to be sold online and not wait for product to actually go into stores, which I get the whole purpose of capitalism, the whole process of, the hungriest customer gets it and all that stuff. But my problem is that when you do something like this, you find people that will use ways to, and I'm not trying to be like, boo-hoo, you gotta be nice to everybody kind of thing, or that the, early bird gets the worm kind of thing either. But it's been frustrating for years. And with the advent of the internet, people have created bots that'll just go in and just swipe all these things, from, parents. And so what will end up happening is a lot of parents, on Christmas Day won't have these things for their kids. And how, when we were growing up, oh God, we wanted this toy, and at one point it was Tickle Me Elmo, and the next point it was this and Furbies and all that stuff, and it became just this laughing stock of how much parents would be willing to spend on an item, even when it retails for something different. Yeah. And it's I mean, that's that's capitalism. Demand drives price. However, I also agree with the fact that they're doing like a bot should be at least frowned upon, or at least illegal in some sort of fashion, so that systems can say, okay, we're only going to limit you to purchasing 2 items online at a time. I don't know anybody personally that has that kind of money to just like completely deplete an entire crate of PS5s.
Right.
Yeah.
Where are they getting this money from is my question.
Probably take a loan out. No, they can yank up the price.
Right.
That's probably a lot of it. Is they're they're getting a loan or something like that, and they're reselling it for upwards of $300 more than what it retails for. So they're recouping that loss and like paying off the loan quick. But
right, but what good does that do for? Well, it's tough.
I wouldn't think that does any good for Sony using the PS5 as an example. I don't think that would do anything good for the stockholders.
Well, no. Number one, Sony doesn't make any more money by these bots, right?
Yeah.
Because they sell it for what it is, and who reaps the benefit is the consumer. So, I mean, they found a third-party loophole to overinflate prices to the point where it's just like, is Sony making enough money to recoup their costs in building the devices? What is it? I've always been told that devices themselves aren't the money makers; it's the games. Remember when we were paying like $50 for a game? Mm-hmm. Now they're like 70 or 80. That's the norm. Mm. It's getting utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
To the point where I've stopped buying new consoles and wait a couple of years, and my wife just bought a PS4 this year. I mean, we've had a PS3 forever, and it's been a great Blu-ray player. And I've gotten a couple games for the PS4, and I enjoy playing it, but I'm not. I've kind of wound down the expenditures just for the simple fact that, it's so hard to find, number one, and then when you do find it, it's overinflated in the price.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like $1,000 right now, I think.
Right, and by no means am I a rich man, but, I do want to spend my money wisely to the point where it's just like, really?
Yeah.
What's the point in this now?
Right.
Like I'm getting that old man phase, or it's just like, this is so ridiculously stupid that I just don't care anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, the thing is that the system itself, isn't it like 2 years old now, and you still can't get one easily?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It released November of 2020.
Okay.
So this is now 2 holiday seasons in a row.
That's insane.
It's been in high demand and no supply to meet it.
Well, and not only that, but the chips to make them are in short supply. I mean, my God, we can't even ship out cars from the Ford factories because there's a chip shortage. Yeah. And you know what the chip is? It's a key fob chip. It's not even a chip to run the engine or run anything else. It's a key fob chip. Mm-hmm. And they're sitting on the lots doing nothing. Mm-hmm. And yet we can't. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I don't know.
It's amazing how many things that affects, too. It affects phones, cars, computers.
And you got the freight issue. Yeah, that's holding up products and stuff. But I just wonder if you go to a store to buy these PS5s, I mean, let's say go back to PS4, PS3, whatever. Are you limited to how many you can buy? Like, I think that needs to be.
Yes. When you go to a store, it's limited to 2 per customer. Okay. So what I think what these big box companies needed to do is recalibrate their sales tactics. So have a greater supply at the big box stores. Mm, yes. Not only will that bring in customers to buy other things, but it'll also reduce the amount of bot ability to snag up all these items online.
Yes.
I went over to, and I no means do I mean this to be a rant and rave session, but I went over to Best Buy on Black Friday, right? I kid you not. They had one small section, like one tower of a section that was just movies. Mm-hmm. And by the time that I got there, it was all gone and replaced by games. And they were like, yeah, that's all the movies we got. If it's just games now, then we're all out. I'm like, like 2 or 3 years ago, you went to Best Buy and you got the $5 bin and you're like, yes, brand new movie, $5 I'm going to buy them all. And you just, you see a mad dash and all that stuff. And now movies are a thing of the past and everybody's going digital, which is great, but I still like having that
I do too.
That physical copy,
It's still the best. It's still the best quality. Yep. Still the best quality. Right. Yep. I bought all mine online this year and
yeah,
I got good deals, so I didn't. But there wasn't a whole lot. Even the ads, there wasn't a lot. So yeah, it's getting less and less.
Target, and the funny thing is Target even replaced their whole 2-row section in West Des Moines. It's like 1 row.
Yeah,
and the rest are books. Since when did books make a comeback?
Well, records are too.
I don't read. My God, are we going back to the Stone Age here?
Well, I thought that was a big thing with the pandemic too, was like audiobooks and like Kindle, like digital books and stuff like that. So that doesn't make much sense to me for Target either to be pushing. I mean, there's nothing more to me when I'm reading a book. There's nothing more satisfying than being like looking at my bookmark and being like, okay, I've got 100 pages left of this 1,000-page novel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm almost to the end. I can't wait to see what happens. But
you know what my problem is with reading books, though? I read the damn page, and then somewhere in my mind it goes, bloop, you forgot about this. And then I have to go and start all the way up to the top again because my mind has a short stroke, and then I can't remember what I read.
Right.
And I have to go all the way back up. I can read a story online just fine, but books, man, the words just start running together. This is the one thing that I do hope actually goes through, just for the simple fact that it will make it easier for parents, number one, and it will start to show corporations what the true output is, or what kind of units they need to sell, or get a better grasp on that stuff. I really, in my honest opinion, I hope that these people, they just sit on the PS5s till after Christmas and just, go bankrupt or whatever, because that's just a horrible thing to do.
I agree. Yeah, I'm not paying that much. I'm sorry. I'll wait. I got a PS4 and they're still making games for it. So I guess we'd really be screwed if they stopped that too. Got all these great new games coming out. We can't play them.
It'd be one thing if they suspended the services on PS4 like they did with the Wii. Mm-hmm. That forces you to get the new console or you can't play anything.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they're still producing new games for the PS4. They're giving you the option to like get the PS4 with a free upgrade to the PS5 version, with the software and stuff like that. So I mean, it's really, I don't know. It frustrates me that a bunch of trolls online were able to hack the system and be like, haha, we got this. If you want it, it's going to cost you. Like, that's bullshit to me. I'm sorry.
Well, putting the Grinch in the Act name is a good choice.
I will say this though. I am happy to hear, and I don't know how much truth is in this yet, but I did hear that Sony is looking to roll out an Xbox Live type pay for online feature with the PS5, and the plan is that they're going to have their full catalog of PS1, 2, 3, and 4 games that you can play on your PS5, which is something that I've been asking for a long time, and the backwards compatibility. Yeah. But hey, you roll that out, you can play all these old games that you loved and grew up with. I am all for it.
Yep.
Bring me
that would be perfect.
Bring me Crash Bandicoot. I want to play these games on the PS5 like in high quality HD. That's
extreme games.
Just what I need. Yes, I am for it.
Me too. That's a phenomenal announcement. I've heard that as well.
Yeah. So I am definitely stoked and looking forward to that. So we'll see if that's something that they're going to roll out with PS4 as well.
I would really hope so. I hope that service is available on PS4 because I personally, I'm not planning on having a PS5 for probably until this time next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Conservatively. I mean,
well, you can't relate if you don't have a lot of people that have the damn thing, right? Especially if you have a gaming channel like you do, and it's like
I have over 300 people on my friends list for PlayStation Network.
Yeah,
there are. I took a look at this the other day. There are 5 of those people, and they're people from all countries, all over the place. There are 5 that have PS5s.
That's crazy.
Wow,
Jesus.
You're kidding.
So, speaking of the PS5 and like the restocks and stuff like that have been going on, this was updated at about 10:30 this morning. So bad news for anybody who's looking to get their hands on one.
God damn.
They are not projecting any retailers to have physical PS5s in for the Christmas season. The problem with this is that Best Buy, Target, Walmart, when they get physical stock in, it's been very inconsistent, and you have to almost like be there as the stock person is putting it out to get one. There's an alternative to this, and it's something that I myself am registered for, and I've gotten a couple emails about. But you can register through Sony to get put on an email list when they have them available, and you can buy them directly from Sony.
Not bad.
The downside with that is that the registration is not guaranteed that you will be receiving an email when the PS5 are available.
Damn.
So now myself, I've gotten 3 separate emails so far from PlayStation letting me know that the PS5 is in stock. The bad thing with that is that I'll get them in the middle of the day on like a Thursday, and it'll say you have to put in your purchase by this time tomorrow. They'll give you maybe 48 hours.
Jesus. $500, right?
I don't know about anybody. Yeah, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't just have $500 of disposable income sitting around. And that's just for, I believe it's $400 for the digital only version, $500 if you want the one that has the actual disk drive in it.
Okay, wow.
But
Yeah.
they don't come with controllers. They don't come with a hard drive external hard drive.
Jesus.
So
Seriously?
you're looking at at $70 a controller and $70 a game and whatever else.
What a deal.
You're probably looking at about an $800 purchase. That's rent for most people.
What do we do with it? We just stare at it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, just to have that little bit of window to be able to purchase it, like it's not worth it to me. And Sony, even like I think it was like at E3 or something like that, they announced they're developing a Ps5 Pro, kind of like they did with the PS4. And it's like, you can't even fill the need for the base console. What the fuck are you doing, Sony?
Hey, Bill, dumb question, because I'm not a huge gamer. I have a PS4. I'll get a PS5 someday. Are you saying the PS5s, none of them come with controllers?
I don't believe they do. My PS4 didn't come with a controller. I had to buy one separately.
Okay, I don't remember if mine did or not.
Wow.
But
Remember when we used to just bitch about one controller coming with the system? Imagine none.
Right.
man, like, God, these kids today that are getting into the consoles, they would have shit themselves if they opened up the NES that I got.
Well, yeah, if you
years
thought-
ago.
Came with
because
two
it came with
controllers?
2 games, 2 controllers, a light gun, and it was like whatever, $200.
that don't
Holy
know
shit.
better. The parents that don't know better that do get the kid one for Christmas, but then it doesn't have any controllers.
Oh my God.
And they get them games. That'd be even better.
And even peripherals, like at Best Buy and stuff like that. I went there recently, this past weekend, and there's nothing. I mean, there was like 1 controller left, and like hard drives and headsets and stuff like that. And it's like, fucking good is that going to do you if you can't get the console? But
Well, yeah. How do you get people
whatever.
excited about PS5s anymore if they can't have the damn thing? It's
and it's not even just PS5. Like the issue Mitch was talking about,
right.
With,
Yeah.
the scalping and stuff like that. That's
Xbox.
affecting
Yep.
Nintendo Switch. It's affecting Xbox Series X and Series S. And yeah, I don't know. If you're a gamer and you're hoping for a new console this Christmas season, like, don't get your hopes up.
You have to pay. Well, yeah, you have to pay an arm and a leg for it if you really want it.
Unless your dad is Elon Musk and your name is whatever the fuck it is, Ashay 12 5G, whatever the fuck his name is.
We need Jeff, Mark, and Elon to cut the shit about the PS5s and to invest in the Hasbro toy Jonah talked about.
Yes, exactly. Well, and Hasbro, they own like almost everything. They own Power Rangers, Star Wars,
Right. Damn.
all that stuff. But yeah. So sorry, kids.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Here's your.
Even the mall Santas are telling kids, like, no, you can't get a PS5. I'm sorry. That's impossible. Like, get off my
Oh
lap.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beyond that, I do have some gaming news that I can cover in about 60 seconds.
Okay.
Sure.
So this is all from IGN in the last couple days. BioShock 4 has been confirmed. It's going to be called BioShock Immortal for 2022 release. Will be set in 1960s Antarctica.
Ooh.
Square Enix has given us a notification of a Chrono Cross remake, which nobody fucking asked for. And we still want a proper sequel to Chrono Trigger. So screw you, Square Enix. Spider-Man is going to appear in Fortnite. Too bad the game still sucks. Spider-Man is also now appearing in the PlayStation version of the Avengers game, and too bad that game is still dog shit. Activision Blizzard has been dropped from the Game Awards because they're a bunch of scummy assholes. Maggie Robertson, the actress that played Lady Dimitrescu in Resident Evil Village, congratulations to her. She won the Golden Joystick Award for Best Actor in a Video Game.
Nice.
And she's just a tremendous human being, and she's got a wonderful attitude. And wish her all the best, and hopefully she gets some more awards here coming shortly. Speaking of the Game Awards, Game Awards 2021 will be this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. You can watch that on IGN if you're curious to see who wins awards for all the games that we've had in the last year. Take-Two Interactive, who is responsible for GTA 5, several other games, is trademarking literally everything. They are putting a trademark claim on anything that remotely sounds like Take-Two, Rockstar, Grand Theft Auto, Max Payne. You're going to get a trademark claim from them because they're assholes. And they want to run the world, apparently. So the game that was just recently came out, it's called It Takes Two. It's a cooperative two-player game that's been very popular. They were hit with a copyright claim or a trademark claim because it says it takes two, and it sounds too much like Take Two. Yeah. So thank you for that. To round this out, the Valve Steam Deck is set for a February 2022 release. It's basically a handheld PC that you can play all your Steam games on, and hopefully it will kill the Switch because the Switch sucks and Nintendo sucks. And that's all I have for gaming news. Also subscribe to 515 Gaming, and yeah, that's all I got.
Very, very nice. Yeah, let's plug our stuff and we'll take off. Jonah.
So we still have our little YouTube channel, my son and I, Toys for All Ages. I always promise more videos coming. They are coming. We actually have some stuff filmed, so it's just a matter of him getting stuff uploaded because he's a 12-year-old, knows how to do that, and I'm 41 and don't. So I'm waiting on him for that.
Excellent. Yeah, look forward to it for sure. And of course, yeah, Field of Geeks, check us out on all platforms. You listen to podcasts. So we're on YouTube as well. fieldofgeeks.com. We have actually hit 20,000 listens. So thank you everyone for that. And of course, everyone here on the show, thank you for all your contribution. Yeah, this is great. We've kind of like sold out of an arena, if you take in that, I guess, or a couple arenas. Just took 6 years, but still counts, right? So, yep. Yeah. 20,000. Unbelievable.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
Yeah, very exciting. Cool. Yes. I can retire now. I don't have anything, but I can retire. No. Bitcoin, right? I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, it's going down. Now's the time to get in.
Now's the time to get in. $500. No. Yeah. With that said, thanks guys for being on. This has been great. Action-packed, thick show here. We'll be back next time. I'm Josh.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Jonah.
And I'm Bill.
Take care.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys.